hello and welcome. Do you want to give a little introduction?
Yes, so I'm Nicola. I'm one of the co-founders of Cliq. We're a social networking and community app, and we're all about connecting like-minded people through interest-based communities and in-person events. So what we're really passionate about is how do we get people out from behind the phone, and how do we get people meeting new people and trying new things. I'm also a second-time founder, so I previously had a beauty tech startup, and that was a marketplace of freelance beauty professionals. Had that for 3 years in total, but we grew that to an acquisition. So Revolution Beauty, the makeup brand, they acquired the company from us. And then, yeah, I'm that crazy person that's like, why don't I go and do it all again and build a new company?
Amazing. I love that for you. Well, congratulations. And also, you just closed your round for 7 figures, which is incredible. So well done.
Thank you. It was a long process. It was difficult, but yeah, we closed it within 2 weeks of Christmas.
Oh my
So
God,
it was a
amazing.
very
Such
happy new
relief.
year.
Yeah.
I said to my co-founder Jason, like, we can't go into the new year still raising. It felt like I've been doing it for so long, like we just can't. And I think sometimes when you do that, you just end up making it work, and like the universe just like brings something to you. We end up closing it literally 2 weeks before, and then we could switch off and enjoy Christmas, which was
Oh,
nice.
amazing. And so let's get into it. So today I'd love to talk about your experience raising so we can talk about everything that went well, what didn't, and giving advice to other people that are looking to raise as well.
What went well and what didn't? God, where do I start? How long have you got? We started raising at the beginning of the year, teasing out. We'd previously raised before. It was our first pre-seed round, so it was just angel investors. We did a crowdfund as well, which was amazing. It got our community on board because we'd just launched a couple of months before that. And that money lasted us a really long runway. But for us, to get to the next level, it was all about speed. It was all about execution. And I think as a tech platform, it's very difficult to do that without a huge round of funding. So we'd always wanted to raise this big round of funding. So I think it was February time. We teased it out a little bit. We're like, we're raising this year. We thought we'd have like loads of interest. We thought our inboxes were flooded. And no one really cared that much. And we're like, okay, this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard work. I think with investment, you have to knock on so many doors and you have to build those relationships really early. It's very rare that you'll have someone that you speak to and then 2 weeks later you've got the money in the bank. Like, it doesn't normally happen like that. Like, you've got to know these people for a while and build those relationships. So yeah, we started, and I think it was about 2-3 months in, and we were thinking like, I don't even know if it's the right time for us. We've still got money in the bank. We're making revenue. Like, what is the rush? So we dipped out a little bit. I think as well, when you're raising investment, you're not focused on the product. So we felt like the business wasn't doing as well because a lot of our time was spent on trying to raise investment, because it is a full-time
Yeah,
job.
100%.
The amount of hours that you spend on it is ridiculous. You're like reaching out to people, following up, sending pitch decks, having meetings, back and forth emails, there's data rooms, there's everything. It's not just an easy process. So we dipped back out in summer, and then we started again probably about August, September, and lots of things happening. Lots of people that said they were going to give us money. They never did. They turned out to be a bit of a fraudster. Like, I probably can count on both of my hands the amount of times we were pretty much screwed over in some form. But I think you have to go through a lot of those things. One, to get the right investor in the end, but two, I think it does help you be more thick-skinned and help you maybe be more cautious in the end. And then it was September, we had a commitment from a fund, which was amazing. And then 2 weeks before Christmas, we had a family office and some angels come in.
Oh my God, stunning.
So it was a very long process of just lots of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I do believe you have to go through those to get the right people. And now I look back, I'm like, all those people that said no, I'm so glad that you did, because we've got the right people and we know that's right for us.
And so roughly how long do you think it was from when you said, okay, we need to raise, to getting the money essentially in the bank?
Oh, probably 8 months.
And was it the same for your previous round as well? Or do you think it was longer because it was more money?
Longer because it was more money. And I think when we raised the first round, it felt a bit easier. I don't know what your take is on this, but when you've only just got a product live, you don't really have that many users, you're a small team, you are just founders, you're pitching to investors this huge dream. It's like, we're going to change the world, we're going to end loneliness, this is what we've done so far, which isn't that much. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. They just care about what you're going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you get to your second round and you're in that in-between phase where you have all this traction, you've got revenue, you've got all these metrics. So that's all investors care about. Yeah, they care about the big mission, the dream, but they're like, okay, cool, what's your metrics? And it's never to what they're expecting. And it's like, I'll come back to us when you've got this amount of metrics.
Yeah.
You go back to them when you do, and then it's new metrics.
Yeah.
Whereas I think with your first round, it's all based on like dreams, and you
And
can
it's
just...
so much easier to sell.
Yeah.
Because you're just selling positivity.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, when you come in with your second, third, or fourth round, like you do have metrics, you have revenue, you have turnover, you have net profit. And they're like, oh, that isn't what I wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly. And they have that perception of what they want before they even speak to you. Because a lot of the time, funds as well have theses and they only invest in certain stages and all of this kind of stuff. So I think when you speak into funds, it's so different to being, okay, this is an individual angel investor. Maybe it's their first investment, but they've wanted to start and they want to invest in something really exciting and they've got SCIS and all these things that make it so much more achievable.
It just feels like sometimes such a catch-22. Like I've had it where I've helped people raise and they're like, no, come back when you've done this. And then they do it and then they come back. And then the investor goes, well, no, can you actually, I want this instead. And then they go do it. And it feels like sometimes you waste so much time with those conversations, but there's a glimmer of hope because you really want the investment.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe you have to speak to as many people as possible. I think it's a numbers game. Like, most of the people that you speak to, you're probably never going to speak to again. But one, I think it builds your confidence when pitching to pitch to as many people as possible. It helps you gather perspective of what people want and what investors are looking for. And then in the end, you say like, okay, you reach out to 100 people. Maybe only one of them is going to take the call, but maybe that one person could be a really big ticket of investment. So it's worth speaking to all those people. And I would reach out to probably at least 200 people a week, like new investors on LinkedIn. And then you've also got catching up with current ones. Then you've got the funds, you've got these things. Like I was probably spending 25 hours a week on investment. So now I have these 25 hours back. I'm like, what do I do with all these hours?
Exactly.
It's amazing. But you do have to really put in the groundwork. And I think there's a massive misconception. People think that raising money is you send an email, they're interested, they're like, I'm going to give you a term sheet and it's done.
Yeah.
And it's just never like that.
No. And the other thing that we've also done is when investors say no, is actually going back and going, hey, do you think you could introduce us to 3 other people that might be interested?
Yeah.
And then that also counts towards however many people you're reaching out to.
Definitely. Or if someone says no, like finding out the real reason why. We always used to get so disheartened when you just get, sorry, it's not for us, after we've been through 5 meetings and we've met them in person and we've sent them everything. And like, just give us a reason why. And like really being pushy on, can you please, like, just tell us whatever it is, like, because it helps you in the long run. Because one, it helps you, maybe there's something that you're not doing right. Or two, maybe it helps you to know what other investors are going to want and maybe what you can do better next time. Whereas I think a lot of time you just get, no, sorry, not for us. And then you just don't even really know any answers.
Okay, so the next question is, what metrics or proof points did you find that investors wanted to see this time that was different to your last round?
I think downloads and app users is important, but I always think it's a bit of a vanity metric. I think they want to see stickiness, they want to see retention, they want to know what your like daily, weekly, and monthly active users are, and those cohorts of data, which as an app that a small team of people, very difficult to have all the right metrics. I'd say like a larger app with a bigger tech team and all of that have. So we really struggled with finding the right metrics that fit the investor, but they definitely want to see that stickiness. They don't just want to see like you've got X amount of users. It's like Instagram followers when you think about it. It's kind of a vanity metric.
Yeah.
It's more the people that are buying from you and the people that are coming back consistently that it does actually matter with that. So I think, yeah, it's more about who are your core users, what are they doing, what are they joining, where are they coming from, and how long are they staying on the app, how much are they coming back every week and how much they come back every month, which is very difficult to report on. But I feel like once you find that core details, that is like your users. It's not the however many 100,000 users you've got, is who's coming back.
Definitely. And I've had that with other tech apps where they're like, great, you've got X amount of users, but actually are they using it on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, yearly? And that's what they want to know.
Yeah, because how many times you download an app, you create an account and then you never use it again, and then you probably delete it, but you're still a user.
Yeah.
So for us, it's all about how do we keep people back. And that's actually really helps with our development, because we're like, okay, we know that, especially for our next round, that's what they're going to want to see. So it's like, how do we keep that retention? How do we build features within the app that do keep that retention? It's not just that person who signs up and never does anything. How do we get people to be actively messaging in there, going to events, doing all these things? So it's definitely helped us like in the planning of roadmap of like marketing and development as well, figuring out what metrics investors want to see.
Amazing. And so obviously you've got a co-founder and your male and female team. And so did you find that when you were raising, you were getting different questions than he was getting from investors? How did you find raising as a female co-founder?
Yeah, it's interesting because what we found that was, if I reach out to investors over Jason, my co-founder, reaching out to investors, I get a better open rate, which is interesting because obviously the stats on female funding is so low, but it actually got me through the door. I think in a way they're like, oh, this young female that's built a company, wants to ask me a question. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're like, okay, I'm intrigued. Whereas Jason would reach out, he wouldn't get as many open rates from the investors. So I would do all the initial outreach. And then when we had calls, depending on who it was, if it was a female investor, I'd take it. If it was a fund, maybe we'd both take it. It just depended who it was. But yeah, we've definitely had a few horror stories of people either like really directing all the financial big questions towards Jason and kind of just like disincluding me when I'm sat in the room. Or we've had one that asked us actually like, because me and Jason are also a couple, which makes things a lot trickier when we're raising investment. I think some people get it and some people love it and like, this is amazing. And some people just can't get their head around it. And we've had investors say to us, yeah, but what are you going to do when you both have kids? We're like, well, we're having kids together. But also you don't know if I have a child at home right now.
Yeah.
Who are you the person to ask me that question? And we've had a lot of things like that when it comes to the couple side of things. People are like, what do you do if you break up? I'm like, we've been together for like 13 years. Like this is our second business together.
Yeah.
If we were going to break up, don't you think we probably already would have?
Feel like the first
Yeah.
business would have been a tester.
Exactly. Whereas some investors just like love the fact that we're a couple. Like we can get so much more done. We live together. Like we're very different as people, different personalities, different skill sets. Like it works so well for us. I admit that it doesn't work for everyone and that's fine. But I always think just because it doesn't work for them doesn't mean it's not going to work for us. But yeah, we've had a lot of comments like that. I think as well, like there's less rooms and spaces where these female investors are. So you go to an event and there's 2 female investors in the room and there's like 100 attendees and you're all crowding around these 2 people to try and get their attention. Like they're going to be so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And my main thing was like, I really want to get more female investors, but it was just so hard to get access to them and find them because of that reason, because there is so many people going after them because there's a smaller pool of them. So that was really interesting to see it from the other side of like, we want to get more female investors. How do we do that? But a lot of the time they're so inundated with things to invest in, and they typically might go for the bigger investments because they know it's got more traction, they know they can get more money for it, which means they can invest more. So I believe it's like a vicious cycle with that. But I think as a founder, as a female raising investment, there's a lot of challenges.
Definitely. And when I've been raising, I've found that there's a lot more questions around risk that other male counterparts wouldn't have. They're like, oh, I love this motivation and determination. But when it comes to me, it's like, oh, you really thought that through? Have you thought of this, and this?
We had an investor that was going to invest, but they wanted us to basically sign this whole thing about our relationship.
At Dext, we know that running a business shouldn't be about the busy work. You've set out to build something on your own, to make time, dream big, and do more. But receipts are everywhere. Invoices get lost. Your inbox never stops. Then you're stuck trying to make the numbers make sense. Dext is the all-in-one bookkeeping automation platform. It's simple, accurate, and all in real time. Just how bookkeeping should be. Your financial data right where it needs to be, with you finally building bigger things. Go to dex.com to find out more.
And I was like, one, if you're drawing up documents about this, like you're not the right investor for us.
Yeah.
And it was this hefty like document that they showed us that someone else, that they had a draft because he was telling us a story about how co-founder ended up having a relationship with the secretary and all this. I'm like, are you watching like an American TV drama? Like it's actually happening in real life. But he was like, because this happened, we've got this document. We'd like you to look at it. And I was like, no. It was like red flag.
So many red flags. What do you think are the 3 top red flags you've seen from investors where you're like, okay, there's capital, but it comes at too much of a cost?
Oh, red flags. I think the main one is just when they ghost you.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't be legit if you've like taken this call with us and like on the call you're like, yes, I'm super interested. I'm going to take a look at this. I'll get back to you in 2 days. And then you never hear a word from them. I'm like, you couldn't have been interested in the first place. So I think that one, and that happened a lot. I think one story I do have where this guy basically strung us along for about 12 weeks. It was a very long time. So it came from like a recommended contact, all of this. He was basically managing money for other people. And he was like, I've got this client. He's got his own family office. He's sold this incredible business. He can put the money in tomorrow. You can take the whole round. Everything. We're like, okay, amazing. 12 weeks was going back and forth with him. Like we went into his office. We showed him like absolutely everything possible, every spreadsheet, every metric, every plan, like he had it all. And then it turns out that this guy was basically a bit of a fraud. So he just strung us along for that amount of time. And then he gave us the worst valuation I've ever seen in my life. It basically worked out that it valued the company as like nothing. And it was just like, I don't understand what you've done here.
Mm-hmm.
You've strung us along for 12 weeks. So I think that's another thing, like red flag when they're stringing you along for so long.
Yeah.
And it's the constant back and forth. And we never actually spoke to the guy that had the money. It was the guy
representing
that was
him.
representing him. And we're like, well, if he's going to put in this much money, surely he wants to meet us. Surely he wants a phone call with us. And he's like, oh, no, sorry. He's off in Dubai at the moment. And along the way, you could just tell there was so many points of like red flags. But for us, we were like, sometimes you just got to take that chance because you actually don't know.
No, you don't
And
know.
it's really hard to know. And I think one of the main things that I've learned is don't put your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we put our eggs in one basket then, and 12 weeks later it turned around and we were back at square one. And we also felt like someone had literally pulled the business apart. We'd spent hours and hours and hours with this person for them to pretty much not be legit.
I mean, what do they even gain out of it?
Exactly. I think it was one of a bit of an ego boost. Definitely a bit of an ego boost. Like, I've got this client, we can put this money in. Like, he was very much one of those kind of people. Yeah, I'm also like, what are you getting? Because you're wasting your own time here, and I don't think you see that.
Yeah, 100%.
Hundreds of red flags with that one. But yeah, I'd say like ghosting, stringing you along, and then giving you a really poor valuation. Like the fact that he was trying to determine our valuation, and I was like, no, we have other investors interested at a different valuation.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he was trying to determine that also just like offended us. Like we were so offended that you even think our company could be worth that little.
Yeah.
Like we've already raised. Where does that go? None of it made any sense.
And so for first time founders raising, what do you think is the usual time frame for a conversation with an investor to close? Because obviously 12 weeks, way too long. But when do you think that they should start thinking, okay, maybe I'm getting strung along a little bit here?
I think give it like 5 to 6 weeks. I think it depends when you're raising as well, because we tried over summer, we've tried over Christmas before, we've tried all these different periods where people are genuinely like on holiday or they're doing other things or they have really busy periods at work. I also think depends on the type of investor. With funds, sometimes they will tell you their lead time. So like in the first call, they'll be like, oh, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks from the decision to get the money in the bank. And then you kind of know. But I do think give people like 5 to 6 weeks, but in that time, don't bank on it unless you've got like a signed term sheet. Like speak to other people, like get yourself out as much as possible, network as much as possible, because you never know, you could turn around and after those 5 to 6 weeks they turn around and say no, and then you're back at square one like we were. So I think the more conversation that you can have and the more people you can have in the pipeline. But yeah, I think give like a good 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And so you've touched on the term data room. Do you want to explain in really layman terms what that means?
Data room is basically a room, an online room, so like a Google Drive with everything about your business. So you'll have things like obviously your pitch deck, you have your financials in there, you might have all like your shareholder agreements if you've raised before. We had metrics, we had go-to-market strategy, marketing plans, basically as much information as you can give an investor, because normally what happens, you have a call with them, they're interested and they say, can I see your data room? And they want to go into that and they want to deep dive into everything without having to bother you asking for things or asking you questions. They want to just go into that, see all the information, and then hopefully they can make a decision or they can come back to you with more questions. But yeah, it's basically just a file with absolutely everything that you can provide the investor. I think when you're early stage, a lot of things you might not have. And I think that's fine. But I think when you're later stage, the more things you can provide them with is more beneficial to help you to get that investment over the line.
Definitely. When I've been doing it or helping people do it, I always say a minimum in your data room should be a financial forecast.
Yeah.
If you're brand new, just putting some numbers together, your pitch deck, a one-pager on like your plan and everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of enough until they start asking for things. Then you can make new documents and then add them in later on. I feel like that's the basic foundations that you need.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. And so this is like one of my most favorite questions is how did you decide who to raise from?
Oh, that is a good question. I think at the beginning, we really wanted a fund. We were like, we want to be like a VC-backed company. And in a way, I think that's because it's massively glamorized. I think when people start raising investment, they don't realize there's alternate ways to invest other than VC funding. And it is ridiculously hard to get VC funding. I think the stat is that less than 1% of startups in the UK get VC funding, and less than 1% of them are from female founded teams. So it is ridiculously competitive and ridiculously hard. And like I said, they have all these metrics. So we went after all the VCs first. But in a way, I think that was good for us just to build those relationships, those conversations. A lot of the time we were too early, but you never know. Now we might have loads in the pipeline for the next round. I think it's worth having those conversations. But then along the way, I explored like a few different routes. So we actually have a family office that invested, and they were like the largest chunk of the money. And that came by chance from just meeting someone. And then turns out she knew someone that was part of a family office and just went from there, just totally by chance. And I think sometimes you've got to be open to those conversations as opposed to like cold outreach to VCs all the time. So we definitely wanted a mixture of things. And in this round, we have a fund. They are an Australian based fund. But that actually came about because the lady was coming over to open the London office. She's wanting to meet new people, didn't really know anyone in London, was asking like, what do you use to meet people? So many people recommended Cliq to her. She went on LinkedIn, she saw that we were the founders, saw that I'd actually DM'd her on LinkedIn probably about 4 months ago and she hadn't seen it. Was like, you're raising. We met her. She loved it, loved the product, loved the concept. I think because she could see herself in that position. And then they end up giving us a term sheet and they're actually, Australian based, which is really cool for us because it opens that market. And then, the family office and then some angels alongside that. So it was very much a mixture. And I think that's quite important when you're raising a round, if you can have a mixture of different people. I think different types of investors bring different types of knowledge and expertise and connections. I think the more you can diversify it rather than just having a fund or just having angels, I think is quite important as well.
Definitely. And when you were raising, were you looking for just capital or almost like strategic partners as well?
Yeah, I'd say strategic. I'd say we always want investors that can bring something to the table, whether it's a new market, whether it's some connections, whether it's just like expertise and that we can go to them with a question and ask them. I think we're not shy to know that we don't know everything. And I think as founders, you can't know everything. You can't be the best at everything and be on top of everything. It's just completely impossible. You need to figure out what your strengths are. And then I think you need to build a team and invest in people around you that have those strengths that you don't have. I think that's what's important with investors is like finding out what their niche is, what they can introduce you to, but also what they can help you with. And I think a lot of investors sometimes want to sit on the sidelines and that's totally fine. But I don't think any investors are like, no, don't ever ask me a question. Don't ever ask me anything. I think they're always so willing to help, which is so nice. And you kind of know that they're there. You've got that support network behind you if you do need anything. So I think it's important to find investors that can bring some form of value to your business as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because at the end of the day, it's their money that they're looking to get a certain return on.
Exactly.
And so it's almost in their best interest to be able to help you and guide you. When you get to those road bumps where you're like, oh my God, I actually haven't experienced this blocker before. Let's ask for some help. Amazing. And so looking back, what do you think most founders underestimate about raising?
I think that it's easy. I think because you go on LinkedIn and probably every single day, probably every single hour, every single day, you see X company has raised X amount. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God, everyone's raising money. It must be super easy. And then you get into it and you realize how much hard work and determination goes into it and how much you have to be active and how much you have to build a personal brand and all of these things. I do think one thing that's helped this raise a lot more is building more of a personal brand, because I do think that people can look into you more. Whereas I think if you're not really active on socials, you don't really have a personal brand, and they don't really know anything about you. Whereas an investor can go on our profile, they can see myself and Jason, they can see the podcasts we've done, they can see the articles we've been featured in, all of these different things. They already have so much information on the business and us as founders already. And the investor, so the family office that invested already knew so much about me and my story because of the podcasts. And it's so interesting that they can have that information before they even speak to you. And they can go and do so much research. So I do think as a founder, the more you can build a personal brand if you are raising investment will help you. And it will help you get in certain conversations, certain doors. And also building a personal brand, like it helps more people know about you. So say then you hear that someone's looking to, I don't know, invest some capital into a business. You're like, oh my gosh, you should invest in this person because even you already know about me. So I think the more that you can be like active and like showcasing your story is so beneficial.
Definitely. And I think it shows a level of traction
Yeah.
as well, which I know investors, especially in early stage startups, really look for, because there's only so much traction you can have if you're not yet revenue producing.
Yeah.
So you almost have to show like you are part of the journey.
Yeah, exactly. And I think investors now are seeing that. So they're seeing like the Grace Beverleys and people like that. Like that is aspirational because one, you've already got an audience. So like if you're building a personal brand, you're also building an audience that could be different to the audience they have for your product. So then you can easily weave in this audience that you have into the audience of your product. So yeah, exactly. It shows that you've got traction.
Definitely. And what's one of the most like amazing experiences you've had from growing a personal brand?
I think just like being able to share my story more. So like podcasts, panels, talks. At the beginning of last year, I didn't really have much of a personal brand. And my partner Jason kept saying to me, like, you need to do more stuff on socials. You need to build a personal brand. Like, you've got such a good story. You're so personable, all these things. And I was so scared. I shut him down. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I think in my head, I was nervous because I thought maybe one, I wouldn't be good at it. Two, people wouldn't care. And three, I was like, I don't want people to hate me. Do you know what I mean? It's quite scary. And then I started doing it and I realized actually it's quite easy because it comes naturally. Yeah, it's hard finding the time to do the content and come up with the ideas. But I think when it's about you and your story and your business, it's a lot easier because you know exactly what you're talking about. So I started it and then it started to get like quite a bit of traction straight away. It's not that I have loads of followers. It's more that people were seeing me as like a person they want to speak at their event or a person to go on a podcast, all these different things. I think the more that you can share your story, it's one, so nice to be able to share that information with people. Like even with investing, I have all this knowledge, been through so much. Like why not share it with people? Because it could help just one person. And that's why I always think you don't need to go and try and change the world. Like you can just go and help one person on their journey. And that's so nice to be able to see. So yeah, definitely being able to share my story more has been exciting. And I was so scared to do personal speaking. I was so scared. I was like, how on earth am I going to speak in front of people? Because I've always been, well, not anymore, but I'd always say in the past, like school, things like that, I was always super shy. Like even like first jobs, I would never like speak in a meeting. Like I'd just be so scared. Whereas now I feel like I've built my confidence up so much more and I can go and speak in front of people and it's totally fine. I'm not going to flop and fail. But I think you need to do that multiple times to get over those nerves.
Definitely. I mean, I was so shy in school.
So scary, isn't it?
And I remember GCSE English, and one of them was we had to like do this, like, I don't know, read this speech, and I literally went to the bathroom, had a panic attack and threw up and went home. I was like, I can't do it. And then I got invited by the Department for Education to speak on a panel, and I was so scared. I went and had a panic attack in the bathroom, then like went on this stage and was terrified, and I was like, that was the scariest thing ever. But it's actually just keep doing it, because now I can go on a panel, I don't even worry about it, I'm not scared, I'm not anxious, and it's just really lovely to be able to share your experiences with someone in the hopes that you will help someone.
Exactly.
And they can learn something from you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you realise, like, you know what you're talking about, it's so much easier to speak. Or if someone asked me to go on a panel and talk about, I don't know, the trends in, like, AI or something, I'm going to be petrified because I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like, come on a panel and speak about your experience about this, being a founder, raising investment, whatever it is, community. Like, you can just do it off the back of your hand because it comes naturally to you anyway. And I think so much time spent as a business owner is pitching. So even if you think about, you get on a call with a brand, you get on a call with something else, like in our case, communities, we're constantly pitching Cliq. So it's like, we know what we're talking about already. It's just then going and doing that in front of a room of people seems so scary. But I think when you realise you know what you're talking about, it makes it so much easier.
And also that there's no wrong answer because it's just your lived experience. Yeah. Then you're like, oh, I can't actually say anything wrong.
Can't be wrong because someone's asking for your opinion on something and it's like, opinion technically can't be wrong.
Exactly. If a female founder is thinking about raising investment in the next 6 to 12 months, what should she start doing now? Running a business shouldn't feel like you're chasing after it, but receipts are everywhere. Invoices get lost, and your inbox never stops. Meet Dext, the all-in-one bookkeeping automation platform that puts your financial data right where it needs to be so you can finally build bigger things. Go to dext.com to find out more. Building as many connections as possible, being really active on LinkedIn, just connecting with people, speaking to other people that have raised investment. So what I was really good at was finding people that had raised investment in my first round and just going to them and asking them the questions that maybe I didn't know. I think as a founder, you're so willing to help other people. I think sometimes people think that people just want to gatekeep information, not help people, but there's actually a lot of friendly people out there that will give you their experience. And especially when I did the crowdfund, I had so many people message me afterwards saying, we want to do a crowdfund, but I'm not sure. And I'd have a call with them and tell them because that's what someone did to me when I first started. So I think the more people you can speak to that have raised and asking them questions that you think are stupid, like they're not going to think stupid because they didn't want to know the answer to that question. I think it's all about networking. It's all about building those connections, speaking to as many people as possible, and like keeping that pot of people ready for when you are like, now I'm raising, and you announce it. You've got so many people to support you and so many people that are going to back you. Definitely. And what are some of those stupid questions that you were asking that you didn't know the answer to at the beginning? Oh gosh. I mean, if you take us back to our first business, when we raised investment for that, we didn't even know what a pitch deck was. Like we literally would get on a call with an investor and they were like, have you got a pitch deck? And I was like, what's a pitch deck? Like we genuinely didn't know what a pitch deck was. We just thought you have a conversation with someone. They give you money and happy days. Exactly. But I think when you're never taught these things, how are you supposed to know? Like you don't get taught at school. You don't even get taught at school that you can have your own business, that that's even an option. It's like, go to uni or that's it. And that was definitely me, like feeling very lost. I've been like, I know I've got something in me. I know I'm doing something for myself. My school just pushing me to go to university. I ended up quitting in 3 weeks. I hated it. But I think you're never taught these things unless maybe you do like a specific course or you research it yourself. And I think we're so lucky to live in a day and age where any piece of information is there for us, like books, podcasts, ChatGPT now.
Like, you can literally find out anything that you want to. I wish I had that in my first business, because I feel like we would have got places so much quicker. But in our first business, we were just learning it all ourselves. And I was like, I didn't know what pitch deck was, didn't know what data room was, didn't know how to pitch, didn't know what investors would look for. But I just, learn it all myself.
And that's so important to do. But when you say networking, where are you finding these events so other people can try find them for themselves as well?
Now you can find them on Cliq.
Oh, how exciting.
But at the time, I always used to go to female founder focused ones. I felt like they were the easiest to go to. I think being around a supportive network is so important. We were saying this before the podcast, like surrounding yourself with people that have businesses is valuable anyway. So going to female founder events, speaking to people there, trying to find people that I'd raised, ask those same questions. And then, I'd say like LinkedIn is the biggest tool for networking. Like, you can get direct in someone's inbox in a second. They can see your whole profile. They can see everything about yourself. Like, that's so much valuable than a cold email. Or maybe like even meeting someone in person, so they've got to go back and research you. I think the more that you can network on LinkedIn is so efficient, because you can also network with so many people within a week, and then you've built those connections, and then go and meet them in person. And then, like you said, getting them to introduce you to people, I think it is a chain of things. But I think, start by just trying to build a community of female founders and then go from there.
I so agree. And also, the great thing with LinkedIn is you can just go and search and type in investor. And then I always press like 2. So, like, who am I not connected to, but is connected to someone else I know? That's almost like a quote unquote warm lead, because they know someone in your network, and then just get tippy tapping on the laptop.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I used to do. I'd like investor, angel investor, pre-seed investor, SEIS, go through them all. And I'd also go on other people's profiles, look at their connections, type in investor. Like, you can just find the right people really easily. I do think though, a lot of the time on LinkedIn, like, the bigger investors probably won't say that they're an investor.
Yeah.
Which makes it quite hard to find them. Sometimes the people that put that they're an investor might even really not be investing at the moment. They just want to have it on there. Or a lot of the people, you can tell you got a call with, and I'm like, you're not an investor. Like, you're just putting it on there for connections. So I think as well, looking at other businesses that have raised in your industry, seeing who's on their investor list and going after those, and then just looking for people that you think got a lot of money, like people that are really high up at corporates, people that maybe sold their business before, all of these different things. I think doesn't have to say investor for them to be an investor, or for them to potentially know an investor. And I always used to think, like, if someone comes back to me and says, sorry, I'm not actually an investor, it's fine, it's not the end of the world. And why sometimes we're embarrassed to even ask, or embarrassed to even have that conversation. But like, sometimes you don't know until that person comes back to you, and you've just got to shoot your shot.
Definitely. And what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes you see first time, like, founder raises?
Oh, that's a good question. The biggest mistakes. I feel like I need to think about this one. I do think don't take capital from the wrong people. I don't think rush into it. I think if you can raise within a time period where you're like, okay, I know I'm covered for the next 6 to 8 months. So you've got that runway. I think a lot of the time people wait until they're like desperate to raise, and they're like, I need to raise within the next 2 months.
But it's too much pressure.
It's too much pressure. You end up panic raising. Also, investors know when you haven't got much runway, and they will take advantage of you.
Because they'll ask you what's your runway. And if you go 2 months, they'll go, oh, so I can basically put whatever I want in this term sheet, because you're going to have to say yes before you run out of money.
Because you're desperate. And I think investors feed off of that. So I think the more time that you can give yourself, so you don't have to take the wrong money from the wrong person, or a really bad deal. Like, no one wants a really bad deal for their first raise. So I think the more that you can give yourself time is so valuable. Because I see so many people that's like, I need to raise within 2 months. And I'm like, oh no.
It's so bad. I think one of the mistakes I see founders make is actually not having good legal advice. Like, not having someone draw up a really good shareholders agreement or a really good term sheet. You get given a document in like legalese from an investor. You don't really understand what it means, so you feel like you have to sign it anyway because the investor knows way more than you do because you're a founder. And then you don't give it to someone else for them to scan over, because then you find all these like nooks and crannies and things that they've put in that you probably aren't happy with, but you didn't know because you didn't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, we've been through that before, where we've had a lawyer look over some agreements and they were like, these are not founder friendly at all, like they are not on your side, and then have to go the back and forth. But I think as a founder, you just get a document, you read through it, you're not going to see what a lawyer would see. And also it's in all these like jargon terms that nobody understands.
No, not at all.
Like, I don't even know how lawyers understand it sometimes, because it's the way that they write things within these contracts that makes you feel like you don't understand it. So you kind of don't dive into it. You're like, it's fine, it'll be fine.
It sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't want to get bitten further down the line because you try and do something, and they're like, oh, but the contract says this. So that's That's a really good one.
And if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice before you did this specific round, what do you think it would be?
I think it's definitely like, don't put your eggs in one basket. Be very wary. Like, don't trust people too easily. I'm the type of person that is so trusting, and I meet a nice person and I'm like, oh my God, they're the best person ever. I think just being that type of person has probably got me in some situations where I'm like, okay, maybe this person didn't have my best interests at heart. But I always want to give people the chance. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
you always want to
mean?
give them the benefit of
Yeah,
the doubt.
exactly. So I think don't put everything into one investor. Do your research, look around, shop around. It's like when you're buying for a house, like don't go for the first one, like shop around, see what else is on the market before you like commit to anything. And also, yeah, just don't rush into it. I think like give yourself time, give yourself the patience to be able to have a conversation with as many people as possible. Because if you go for the first investor that you've ever spoke to, like it could be amazing, like who knows, but also you're not going to learn from any of the process. So I think the more people that you can speak to, the better.
Definitely. And the last question is, what excites you most about the next chapter for you personally, but also for your business?
I think the investment was such like a big turning point for us because it's gave us so much more that we can do this year. So we're hiring at the moment, which is really exciting. We've been a small team for a while and it's gone to the point where the to-do lists are just not getting done as much as they used to be. So we need more people on board. So yeah, we're hiring. So hopefully have like 3 new people within the next 3 months, which is really exciting. I'm just really excited to like spread that mission of Cliq, to have people on board that understand it and can bring a new perspective and a new vision, because sometimes you get so stagnant. And when it's your business, you feel like every way that you do things is the best way.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you need like a fresh pair of eyes to come in and be like, have you thought about this? Why haven't you built this feature? Why haven't you done this? Why do you do this with your marketing? Why not try this? So yeah, I'm really excited for that. And then personally, yeah, I'm just excited to lean into more of this personal brand side of things. Really want to help more people, maybe some mentoring, especially to like early stage startups that are going through their first round of funding. Like, what support can I give to people? I just think, yeah, like I said, been through so much. Why not share it with people and why not help people along the way? And like enjoy the journey. I think we're so like milestone driven
Always.
that like, okay, once we've got the investment in, we're on to the next thing. That's why over Christmas we went away. We're like, let's get the investment in, let's go away. So we actually force ourselves to like celebrate and force ourselves to figure out what we want to do. Because if we'd done the investment and then 1st of Jan, we're straight back at work, you just get back into this like rat race.
You do.
I think you need to give yourself time and just enjoy the journey, because when you look back, that's the most exciting part. It's not the end goal. It's how you've got there and the things that you've done along the way. So yeah, definitely one thing I want to focus on more this year is just enjoying every day, enjoying the journey and the process.
Amazing. Well, is there any last thoughts you would like to leave us with?
Oh, download Cliq.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it.